I was just watching an ancient video from the land of 2010 of Day 9 discussing his gaming career, and I just started thinking about it, and my stream of conscious kicked in, and it brought me into thinking of Destiny, because it's the only game that I really gotten hard into that had a community that was a huge presence in the game. You know, when I was like 11, I got into Minecraft and shit, but obviously that's not a multiplayer, so it's just like you talk about it with your buddies in school, but you're there alone playing. But it kind of like sent me down memory lane in terms of where it all started and what road ultimately led to me getting so stuck into Destiny. And it's just random stream of thought, and recording things is good, and I saw that video from so long ago, and was just so impressed by the fact that you could just go look at that memory anytime. So I don't know what this is, I'm just recording. Maybe I'll just watch this myself in like 10 years or something, and that'd be fine. Obviously it's like shaky cam, it's dark, there's no, like, it doesn't have anything to do with like Transformers, so I wouldn't put it on my channel. I don't know, I'm just recording. But because Destiny is very much like that the draw of an RPG, sort of like World of Warcraft or like RuneScape, from what I'm told, or, you know, like those really raw RPGs I never got into when I was a kid, when I was little, because I didn't do the whole computer thing. I didn't really have a computer at all, and I wasn't a gamer child, really. I didn't get my first Xbox until I was about 11. I got my 360, and it wasn't because my family was anti-video game or anything, you know, or at least, you know, after my dad moved to New Mexico, I lived with my mom most of the time. It wasn't that she was anti-game or anything, it was just, I think like, the toys took priority, and there was never anything, like, I never even thought about it in terms of, like, hey, Mom, we should get video games to keep me occupied, because, you know, it was always just toys. Like, I was always into Transformers or Legos, even moving into, like, elementary school, and obviously we all know that it just kept going, and I never even stopped for a year, and it just turned into me collecting. But yeah, there was never any need for that. I think I got a DS Lite when I was, like, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, or something, and I loved that, and that was fine. I never got a DSi, I never got a 3DS, I had it, didn't matter, I didn't care, my mom didn't care, and that was that. But the first sort of gaming experience, like real gaming experience, even before the Xbox, I feel like the first thing truly that started that, because what Xbox really incurred was first person for me, which you never get from a DS. But what Wyatt and I would do back in the day is we would, and he'd been doing this before me even, not very long, because he wasn't here for too much time before we met, but a little bit just because it was local. But we would go to his local library, the Chatham Library, and it was like Wednesdays or some shit, and he would have they would have Halo Night, right, in the library. And what Halo Night meant was each person was allowed like maybe like 20 minutes max or something like that. People were supposed to switch off. We never did, because no one was there. We just stayed on for like hour, 2 hours, whatever. And what Halo Night meant was Halo 1, Hang 'em High, custom game. That was it. That was Halo Night. There was no campaign, no firefight, no online multiplayer, no other maps, no... Hang 'em High, custom game. This is Halo Night. And that was our, like, dip into first-person shooters. We did it, like, almost every week. Like, we loved it, right? There'd be, like, 2, maybe 3 other people lined up any given week that we didn't know, and we would just go at it. And that would be Halo Night. But so after I got my Xbox, and Wyatt's parents were much more strict with the games. Not necessarily. I wish I had him here talking about this to get more insight. It wasn't. I don't know. It didn't seem like it seemed like the type of thing that was just, they just made it a strict thing without thinking about it, instead of thinking about it and going, oh, this is fine. I feel like it's something that they just sort of kind of thought should be a rule and then just stuck to it for some reason. But it would be so bad that we would have to be at, like, my school, well, our school at the time, we were both going there, Hawthorne Valley, we'd be there hiding in Baba Yaga's hut in the woods to play on my DS, so his fucking parents didn't see it, and it was awful. I mean, goodness gracious. So when I got my Xbox, that was the pad. It was my house, and I got an Xbox 360 and a PlayStation 3 on the same Christmas, and I went fucking nuts. But we started getting into Reach was the first. My cousin, God bless my cousin, he's one of the most generous people I know. He would always, like, I'm not the type of person that, like, I don't remember. I don't like to say this, but I would use things that he had, and I wouldn't be like, wow, I'm really liking this, wink. I'd just be playing it with no filter or something, and he would see that I liked it, and he would literally be like, keep it. Keep it. And this happened all the time. Like my Kirby Superstar Ultra for my DS, my original copy of New Super Mario Bros. For DS Lite, which you know, if you know what that game is, that's the staple. If you have a DS Lite, like, that's the game. That you will get so much mileage out of that game, and it's so badass. And Halo Reach. The story behind that was my first experience of Halo besides game night, you know, Halo night at the library, was whenever I was at my cousin's. Well, one time I was at my cousin's, rather. He was fucking about in Forge doing something. I was like, alright, cool. And he was going to a friend's house, and he was like, here, just fuck with this. Here are the buttons, you can spawn shit in, whatever. And I went, okay, cool. And he was like, this is just a mode, you can back out, you could play campaign stuff, you could go to the... I didn't know what any of this shit meant, right? He left, and I was sitting there in the same Forge world. I didn't even leave for 4 hours. And I was like, oh my god, this just blew open the whole realm of, like, you could spawn in vehicles and shit, and Halo is so much bigger than Hang 'em High and Halo 1 in a custom game. And I didn't even know about, like, multiplayer or campaign. This was just Forge. I was like, this is the best thing ever. I love this. He came home, he saw me sitting there, and he gives me the disc. He just gave me his copy of Halo Reach. He was just like, here, just take it. Because I just got a 360. But that's what we really started with, Wyatt and I, and one of our absolute favorite things was extremely finely tailored custom games of Grunt Apocalypse. Because you hear Grunt Apocalypse, and it sounds like, oh wow, you're just doing easy kiddie shit, but we loved rigging it so it would get so hard that you're gonna die, but it's just grunts. And it was like... But that lasted us, like, several years, just, like, enjoying Reach and playing the campaign and playing harder versions of the campaign and doing Firefight and whatever. I got an Xbox One, Halo 4 came out, you know, list continues. So that's really, like, where we started with first-person shooters, and it was always about, like, I don't know, just, like, the legendary or the heroic Halo moments where you really have to figure out your economy and just hiding behind walls at the right time. You know, it's your first-person shooter shit, right? But I guess I love so much the idea of fantasy melded with sci-fi, and I love the idea of the things that I never experienced when I was little of, you know, some of these, you know, RPG-based... You know, you have abilities that can synergize and really, really rare, crazy weapons and armor, and some of it's hidden, and others hard, and you have other activities that are really hard, and, like, I always liked the idea of that stuff, and I always heard about it, but I never did it, because I never had a computer. Even, like, right now, I'm starting a semester of college in the fall in less than a month, and I still need to lock down a computer, because I don't have a computer that I can use, and I need it. Obviously. So that's me with computers, right? But Destiny, I remember, and I was very vague on, like, he and I were both very excited for it to come out, back in 2014. I was 13 at the time because it was 2013 before it came out. But it was always in the back of my like, oh, this is kind of cool. I don't think it really like clicked in my head that like this is a game that is coming out that you can play. So he actually got it. I didn't have my Xbox One at the time, and he got it, and then I went in and played on day one. He's like, oh, it's so cool. And that's why, for any Destiny fans who actually know what I'm talking about, Fogoth, the Untamed, is so important to me in the universe of Destiny, because that is, because he was telling me about all the missions he was doing before, and when I came to his house, like, after launch, I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm doing this thing called a strike. It's like, it's supposed to be a mission, but I guess it's some other mission, I guess. And I'm like, oh, cool. And he was like, here, try it. It's fucking awesome. I'm so glad you get to play now. And I played it, and I played the summoning pits. I got to go through and kill Fogoth. So Fogoth was my first exposure to Destiny, period. Ever. It wasn't Eyes Up Guardian. It wasn't any of that, which, of course, I made my character on my account. After that, I was like, fuck yeah, and I got one to, like, level 4 before that. And, yeah, that's why Fogoth is just always, So, and when they, I'm not gonna get on a tangent, but they changed it, and it's bugged out, and now it just says Hive Abomination, and it's fucking stupid. Anyway, then that was in September it came out. He gave me that copy for Christmas because he got an Xbox One. So he gave me his 360 copy of Destiny. I didn't have a hard drive in my 360, so I couldn't play it, and I didn't get a hard drive until June. So June of 2014 is when I started on that same level 4 character I'd made on his Xbox, on my Xbox account, because it's with BNet, so it linked. And then when I had it in my hands, it really just kind of snowballed, and it went from me doing a lot because I loved it to, like, halfway through the release of the Taken King, me doing absolutely everything because I adored it. And then as of, you know, the summer of Taken King, when Moments of Triumph came out, and I was like, oh, this is the thing, I can show my dedication with a shirt with my name on it by mastering absolutely every single aspect of this. Yeah, and I didn't know Year 1 existed, but it doesn't matter because there was no shirt in Year 1. But yeah, Destiny, it's just the ability to meld not only sci-fi and fantasy perfectly 50-50, but the ability to meld weapon armor synergy, like subclasses and perks and classes and team compositions and all that shit, and Whisper of the Worm, you feel like a god because you can kill a walker tank with 12 bullets even if it's in a heroic public event, combined with that fucking amazing nostalgic memory set of playing Halo with Wyatt and hiding behind walls, and you know, it's a first-person shooter, and that's what started me on the whole thing in the first place. So yeah, and that's also, this Solstice event has really been cool because it's like nothing really, they're really well-built missions, and going back into them when they're higher difficulty really makes me feel like I'm in some like difficult Halo firefight, or like doing the gondola mission of Halo 4 on Legendary, or some such. But yeah, I suppose this has just kind of trailed off into nothingness. I think I stayed on topic, even though it was kind of a story. And I don't know what this is gonna be used for. Maybe it'll just be for me and I'll watch it in 10 years and that'll be neat and it'll just be on Google Drive. But regardless, that is my story.